It's 3 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start the session. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Alright. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajma'in. Alright. So to start the session, and while waiting for another participants to join, we'll be sending a montage on joint industry collaboration, JIC of towards AWP and PPM, Advanced Work Packaging and Project Production Management adoption as part of global best practices in the industry. And for Muslims, concurrently with that, let us all recite Al-Fatihah. And Hakim, you can play the video. Al-Fatihah.
WEF established the Shaping the Future of Construction project, about what will the future of the industry look like, how best to prepare for it. Current business models, strategies and capabilities of players in the infrastructure and urban development industry will not be sufficient for any of these future worlds. But there are 6 no-regret moves all infrastructure and urban development companies can take to prepare. 1. They must attract new talent and build up the required skills. Widening the sourcing of talent and improving the industry's image can help. The company should also provide more modern workplaces and opportunities for learning and development. 2. Infrastructure and urban development companies need to enable change management and adaptiveness. This requires agile working methods and flexible organizations. 3. Furthermore, they need to implement digital models and data usage throughout their processes. 4. They must also adopt innovative technologies at scale. It's important to innovate in new ways and integrate new technologies. 5. Infrastructure and urban development companies need to increase integration and collaboration across the value chain. 6. Companies must also constantly identify the most promising products and market segments while embracing new businesses. This is how construction is being done in other parts of the world. Planning is everything. So, what do we aspire the future to be for Malaysia oil and gas industry? We need to learn from others and adopt the best. Advanced work packaging forges team alignment early in the project life cycle. Engineering, procurement, construction, and completions representatives collaborate to determine the optimal project execution strategy at the front end of the project. In a tradition project, engineering is performed by system, procurement in bulk, and construction by area. AWP is designed to align engineering, procurement and fabrication with the path of construction, so that deliverables are managed and disseminated in the correct sequence to support the construction plan. Using advanced work packaging, we won't find thousands of punch items at the end of project. Project production management. In project management, cost, time and cash are a function of trade-off between scope and quality, schedule, and the use of resources, also known as the iron triangle. But, in project production management, cost, time and cash are a function of interrelationships between product design, process design, capacity, inventory, and variability. The main difference is PPM view project as production system, which applies operations science as the technical basis to map, model, analyze, optimize, control, and improve project production system performance.
This is the current scenario. The world currently facing crisis, be it crude oil, the pandemic, as well as the economic downturn. We cannot be complacent based on what we have. We must face the challenges that AWP that will be able to offer Petronas, a company, owner, and different opportunity to realize a positive increase in safety, production rate, reduction in capital installed. Whereby in the contractor side, that will be able to increase profitability. Operational science that in adopting PPM, the project team will be able to further look into the granular part of project production step by step. In short, what I personally can say, AWP as well as PPM will be able to innovate on flexibility ideas and solutions in the project lifecycle.
At this moment, solution providers are available in the market. In order to implement AWP and PPM in projects, we need to make sure we are ready to adopt these solutions. Petronas, as an owner, is ready to adopt AWP and PPM. But, without working together with our partners, we won't be able to perform efficiently. Thus, our partners' readiness is crucial for this entire ecosystem of joint industry collaboration towards project delivery transformation via the adoption of global best practices, the AWP and PPM. Today, Petronas will be collaborating with engineering consultant, EPC contractors, and solution providers, along with our supporting members and enablers from academia, institutional partners, and government agencies. In this collaboration, the activities we had in plan will be on capability building, methodology adoption plan, and sharing by solution providers. AWP has been proven to have 25% increase in productivity by improving the time on tools, 10% reduction in overall cost, and improved safety. PPM, on the other hand, able to deliver project 10% faster, with 13% lower in cost. We want to include you into our ecosystem. We want you to be with us, striving together.
Wan Sharifah Zaida Nulisha, President of Malaysia Oil and Gas Services Council, and fellow EXCO members and Secretariat team. Mr. Abdul Hafiz Ibrahim, as the Head of Construction, Group Project Delivery and Technology, Petronas. Fellow guest speakers from Bentley, the Digital Construction Works, TCSS, whom I will be introducing shortly in more details. Industry leaders, management representatives, fellow project practitioners. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. Wishing all of you are in the pink of health. Stay safe and happy throughout the historical challenge we are in right now. And welcome to the fourth workshop in Joint Industry Collaboration Webinar Series, JIC Webinar Series, a program that is held in collaboration together with MOGSC. We are today in the MOGSC Microsoft Teams platform, together with members of the MOGSC, Malaysia Oil and Gas Services Companies, and championed by Petronas and other members in the JIC. And thank you for joining us today in this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, 17 August 2021. First of all, please to introduce myself, Muhammad Al-Azhari bin Abdullah Sani, from Petronas, as the result manager in the JIC, AWP and PPM task force. And I will be facilitating our overall event today until 4:30 p.m. inshallah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this month we are focusing on sharing and technology showcase by different solution providers. And today we are going to hear from Bentley Systems on their solutions offering, and with the title of the all-new Synchro Platform and how to go digital with AWP. Before we go further, let me walk you through the agenda briefly, and maybe the some of the ground rule of the session. Next slide, please. All right. I think most of you even cannot unmute your microphone. Only the presenters can unmute. But anyway, please feel free to post your question in the chat box. We will be handling all the question in the end of the session. We have specific allocated time for Q&A session. And we are going to have this flight non-stop. so then take your own break when necessary. All right. So next we go to the agenda. Okay. I still cannot see the agenda. Next slide, please.
Okay, I've moved to the agenda.
But all right, okay, now I can get it. Okay, we are going to have a short context setting by Mr. Hafiz after this, and about 1 hour session with our fellow speakers, whom I will be introducing shortly. Right, this Q&A session will be at the end of the presentation, and we are targeting to close by 4:30 p.m. sharp, inshallah. Okay, next. I would like to invite, uh, without further ado, Mr. Hafiz Ibrahim. I can still not, the slide may be quite slow. Still have waiting for the slide. All right, Mr. Hafiz Ibrahim to give a context setting and to kickstart our event for today. Over to you, Mr. Hafiz.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, clearly.
No, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Al, for introducing me. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Yang berbahagia MOGSC President Puan Sharifah and EXCO members, industry leaders and fellow colleagues. On behalf of the JIC, I would like to give you our warm welcome to all participants to this event. Actually, I'm quite excited to see a quite overwhelming number of attendance and participation into this event. Actually, a continuous number that we have received from the previous few webinars that we have conducted. I think today we have close, I think over than 90 participants. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give some context setting for this event. As you already well aware, the industry presently is rapidly moving towards Industrial Revolution 4.0, where there are massive expansion of growth and growth in the application of information and communication technologies, particularly in cyber physical system, in bringing our business and work process towards full automation. So in response to this mega trend and revolution, Petronas acknowledges the need to pivot and innovate now, and the spring into action must also start immediately. Our leaders are very committed towards transforming our work culture, making the structural changes, as well as retooling our human capital to ensure that our business will remain competitive, relevant, and sustainable in the foreseeable as well as in the long future. So one of the way to do this is through fully embracing and capitalizing of techno-digital solutions. I think many of us, all of us here today agree that digitalization is the way to go now. It's so pervasive across all industries and in fact in our personal daily life too. So it is imperative we collectively as the industrial players must reshape ourselves in adopting these digital tools to the fullest in order to create value and improve our practice, especially in the project management and delivery. So in today's webinar is one of the series that had been planned by the JIC, Joint Industry Collaboration, in pursuit to fulfill our aspiration to shape the industry towards adopting this digitalization. Through this platform, we hope that it become a platform for collaboration and information sharing for the adoption of AWP and PPM, at least within the oil and gas industry in Malaysia. We also wish to gather feedbacks on challenges and constraints in the implementation of AWP and PPM, and hopefully we could also deliberate some of the best approach to mitigate each challenges, taking the opportunity that we have the presence of industry experts. And also with the end in mind, the ASC also wish to establish some sort of industry guideline or standardized approach, which will be most effective and optimal way for local industry context. I think the industry needs a conducive ecosystem to grow organically and for effective implementation of digitalization. GIC is established here to serve and facilitate that to happen, and at the same time realizing the refreshed Petronas cultural belief by being customer focused through networking and collaboration within the industry players. In closing, I would like to record our appreciation to Bentley as the event sponsor this time and our key partner in JIC workshop number 4 with MOGSC. I would like to express also appreciation and thank you to the organizing committee as they have worked hard to make this event happen and will go as smooth as possible. Special thanks as well to our guest speakers who are willing to spend their time today to share their knowledge and experience. To all participants, let's make this event to acquire and learn new knowledge and gain insights into new practices and technologies that are currently being adopted in the industry. Please do interact actively with our guest speakers to share your views and ask questions. Finally, have a pleasant learning session. Let's move forward together and be ready for the future. Thank you. Over to you,
Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz Ibrahim, Head of Construction of Group Project Delivery Petronas. So, a round of applause to Mr. Hafiz.
Welcome.
You can see the applause.
Yeah.
All right. So, and now it is an honor for me to introduce our guest speaker for today. Let us see all of them, the gentlemen in the video. First, Mr. Iwan Pribadi, close to home from Jakarta, Indonesia, the Global Director of Construction Bentley. Hi, Dr. Pak Iwan. All right, Pak Iwan started the construction professional 22 years ago in the US. Joined Common Point Incorporated, a technology startup, and then Common Point get acquired by Bentley System in 2008, where Mr. Pribadi continues to provide his expertise in work packaging, 4D, 5D planning, and the constructioneering. So it's a interesting terminology there in general. Right. So currently he's serving as the Global Director of Construction User Success Services in Bentley Systems, responsible for delivery of and the adoption of Bentley construction technology for organizations globally. All right. So Pak Iwan is our first panelist for today. And second, from the United States of America, Mr. Eric Crivella joining us 2 a.m. in the morning there. Hi, Eric. How are you? Mr. Eric is the Director of Digital Construction Works, where he is responsible for construction automation solutions and realization of successful project and programmatic outcomes. Right, and he's a prominent member of Construction Industry Institute, the current chair of Community for Business Advancement that promotes AWP adoption among industry players. All right, and definitely we will learn a lot from Mr. Eric today, and also from Houston, US, Mr. Doug Terrett, consultant and project manager from DCW as well. Hi, Mr. Doug.
Hey, good afternoon.
So, Mr. Doug has over 8 years experience in the engineering, construction, and software technology industries. Right. So he's together with Eric from Digital Construction Works, a sister company for Bentley as well. And closer to home, Mr. Andy Tiong, Project Service Director of PCSS Consultancy, joining us from Sarawak, Malaysia. Mr. Andy, how are you?
Hai, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Kabar baik. Okay, Mr. Andy is the Project Planning Management Specialist with PCSS Consultancy since December 2006. He's a certified PMP, certified Primavera Project Management Practitioner, and has delivered services to various organizations, Petronas, Shell, and others in Malaysia and Brunei. Right. So let's welcome our panelists today, and a round of applause once again for the panelists. And to start the session today, I would like to pass to Mr. Andy. We have yet to go through our mandatory agenda in a way, HSC and quality moment. Let's hear from Mr. Andy sharing of HSC and quality moment in the digital world. All right.
Cool.
Over to you, Andy.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Al. Yeah, thanks for the sessions. And I think that one of the things that interests me in this project planning life cycles, right? There's a lot of time what we did is like, planning, we talk about the physical work that we need to perform. We always emphasize on like what's next thing to do. But again, we can always enhance the way that we plan through a lot of like factors that influence the execution of the project. So if you look at this digital video that we are having right now, try to imagine right now where we can use this data of our digital information and to do a rehearsal of our construction executions, not only to use it as a platform for the communication among the project team people to understand how we're going to do it, but also can be used, to really enhance from safety point of view. Especially we reuse this data for our toolbox meeting in the morning to say that, hey, guys, this is what we're going to do at the top side, E6, probably F23. We're going to say that we're going to skid in a pipe rack. So we visualize it, we learn it, we go through the process. I think the most important part is that we rehearse it and we optimize our project plan. At the current sessions that we have right now in our project challenge session with our contractor, so we need something that more visible, we need something that more constructive. So I think digital construction is way to go to basically to enhance our project delivery. This is where we start to know, we know what we don't know, and now we know how we're going to do it down the road. So enjoy these sessions, and part one going to share a lot of enhancement that we have in the digital platform. How do we optimize our usage? It's not only about just the software itself, but in terms of it is really practical and we practice on ground. So I will hope that all the participants today were able to enjoy the session, and it gives you a light in the end of the tunnel to say that, hey, you know what, this is something that really cool, and it's going to enhance our project delivery teams, right? So I'm going to hand it to part E1 right now before I come back to the further elaborate about what PCSS is doing. So let's look at the new Synchro platform and how we're going to use it to enhance our project delivery. So I hand it to you, part E1, and I'm looking forward for that.
Thank you, Andy. So everyone can hear me okay?
Yes, Pak Iwang. Please
Okay.
continue.
Thank you. So let's spend a few slides basically talking about who we are. So Bentley Systems is a publicly traded company based in Exton, Pennsylvania. So our mission is basically to provide innovative software and services for professionals like you who would design, build, and operate the world infrastructures, right? To sustain basically our global economy and environment for improved quality of life. We are a global company. We have a very rich domain expertise. We have offices in 42 countries and we speak 64 languages. So it's quite coverage globally. In Asia in particular, we are headquartered in Beijing, China. We have a good sized regional office in Malaysia at Petaling Jaya. So make sure that Puan Sarif asked me if, where's the Bentley office in Malaysia, because we moved to Petaling Jaya. So this is basically, we're still there in Malaysia. So with this, couple slides from Bentley, I would turn this over to Eric Rivella, who would talk about DCW, and then to Andy subsequently. Please, Eric.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Digital Construction Works, DCW, is a Bentley Systems and Topcon Positioning Group joint venture. It's a 50-50 joint venture we're digital integrators, solution providers, but digital integrators, really providing a fit for purpose, best of breed, and agnostic to the extent that we can solutions, right? So we have labs and subject matter experts. We've developed an integrations platform and, really a community of third-party providers to bring into the fold in terms of doing the integration. And big believers that if you combine the 4D, 5D, advanced work packaging with the reality modeling, reality capture, the construction verification, you can create a digital twin, a construction digital twin that can feed the performance digital twin. And of course, it's not just here's some software, have at it, good luck, right? It's the people, process, and the technologies all working together in an integrated manner to drive predictable outcomes. So that's really DCW is about providing outcomes and going digital and providing outcomes and measuring the results as we go along. And of course, we specialize in the 4D, 5D, as well as the advanced work packaging and the plan versus the actual versus the as is. Ewan, back over to you.
Okay, so next I would let Andy to explain basically the relationship between PCSS and Bentley.
All right, thanks, Yuan. So I'll probably start with PCSS. Basically, it's a company within Malaysia itself. We're covering the Southeast Asia region for project planning purposes. So we probably consider as one of the earlier Synchro clients back in 2008 when we started to use Synchro ourselves, basically to enhance our project planning and project delivery as one of our core services within PCSS itself. So Petronas and Shell, basically, it's our main clients to execute or to second our resources to the company itself. So we are glad today that Bentley acquires Synchros right now, and we have a continuous enhancement on the system, and we believe that as a practitioner on ground that who involved in numerous projects that we have within the oil and gas ecosystem within the Southeast Asia, I think we know how to use the correct way to do the planning. But again, the tools will help us a lot in enhance our delivery of our work, like what we mentioned by Encik Hafiz in the earlier message. So we are glad to have a joint efforts with Bentley together, and especially with the knowledge of Pat Iwan and Eric here, to deliver and enhance the industry itself in Southeast Asia. So we are glad here to be in these sessions, and thanks to Petronas and also the rest of the committees to get us to share this knowledge of our sessions. So I hand over to you, Pak Iwan.
Okay, so let's go through the presentation. As you see in my screen, as the demand for projects continues to expand, as the world is also in the process of recovering from the COVID-19, so does the project size and design complexity. So many oil and gas projects uses new design tools to enable more sophisticated design, but the more significant impact for contractor has been the increasing delivery expectation from the projects. Who wants more for less, right? Projects require higher quality control, increased health and safety standards, specifically in the new normal of COVID, and then projects also expect greater transparency. Even the public now expect to see more updates in the 3D visualizations, and then this to make sure that project can be delivered sustainably. So we've been studying and categorizing the business needs. We try to understand what are the most critical for projects to be called successful in delivery. So we divide it into 5 categories. They are cost, quality, time, safety, and about winning work, right? So all of this, I may conclude that mission critical for contractors and owners are to be able to basically, to summarize this, is to be able to manage disputes, delay, and minimize the rework. Number 2, Project also need to know where they are at, where they're going, and how to get there faster. So we need all those to be competitive, right? And win more work. This resonate what we are offering with Synchro. So in short, using Synchro, you will have a clear line of sight for your project at any time and anywhere. So Synchro is a SaaS platform that help project or construction firms to deliver more efficiently by managing data in the project context so that the team can be more efficiently access and manage the data. So with Synchro, you will have near real-time source of truth with a cloud and mobile environment. That is the only one place to access, capture and manage, and analyze project data and documents. Let's go a bit more detail about the platform. Now,
Pak Iwan, what
yes,
is actually SaaS platform? What does it mean?
it's software as services.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Al. So let's go digital with AWP, right? That's really the message of what we're trying to deliver in this webinar, right? So what we mean by this, by going digital, is basically moving you from paper-based with a disparate 2D, 3D, or different applications, Excels, in-house systems, into 4D, 5D digital construction that allow you to have more improved controls and outcomes of your project. Now, why going digital is so important? Here are a few of the outcomes that can be expected by leveraging the latest technology, right? From improved productivity and profits, reduction of reworks and costs, and the material waste, improve schedule performance, and improve, this is what most people overlook, is improve communication and coordination within the projects. Now I have a couple important slides to share. So, what is the correct ratio when you implement such technology for your project, right? Is it 10%? Is 20% technology, or 60 or 80? So we like to share from our experience in Bentley. Right. So the right number that we study in many years is 20% technology. The message I try to get across is basically, if you spend way too much time trying to implement a system and spending too much time on trying to learn and work the system, you're probably missing out the importance of the AWP implementation itself, right? You need to implement a process, training the people and the technology in the correct ratio. So this is where Synchro fit into the whole thing, right? So in Synchro, why we can say, you don't need to spend way too much time in the implementation process and you can get going as soon as possible. So here's some reasoning behind it. So when you start choosing your technology, you need to be basically focusing more on the benefit of the technology instead of spending time making the technology works, right? For many years, we've been involved in this arena. Basically, we know that many other systems require substantial upfront investment, like time, not just cost, right? Time, resources, and then also the capital. And it could take months to get the system up and running, require heavy administration, and then long implementation process and long training process, and then questionable about the interoperability. As you know, you have to be able to, for example, I throw in some example there. It's like you have to be able to deal with P6, multiple design tools that may come from different parties in your project. Also, you have to manage your in-house systems, right? So Synchro makes these things simpler. So Synchro has been around for a while. We have thousands of users globally every day. So we say we are one of the best 45D tool in the market. And we use the latest technology backed by the iTwin and MS Microsoft Azure. We are proven and stable. We are cloud-based platform. We are modular and scalable. and then expandable. It's not a point solution. So basically, you can use Synchro module individually, right? And then you can scale as you need. Easy to deploy. You can actually spin up the cloud within minutes and require very minimal administration. We have a first-class training, onboarding, and support, like our partner with TCW and PCSS, right? You want local support, local language. We have PCSS in Malaysia, right? And we do have one thing that people always say is we have the lower cost of entry. Enough about going digital. So let's move into the solution. So Synchro is a SaaS, single integrated platform for the digital construction management, right? So it works across multi-devices, as you see. You can actually use it in laptop, computer, desktop, tablet, and phones. So our intent is to have all your construction management in one place. Now, let's spend a few minutes to understand the concept of the connectivity within the solutions. So what fits in Synchro is going from the left, and what is coming out of Synchro is on the right side. So the inputs in Synchro includes your design model, your 3D design model, your documents, right? Your specifications, and then your schedules. It can be Oracle P6, Primavera P6, Safran, Asta, Microsoft Projects, Excels, and many different things. If you like to use reality captures, which is basically your reality modeling mixed into your project, you can actually fit that into Synchro as well. Then other thing that people always forget is about this side here, right? How do you capture real-time data? How you acquire it from the field using mobile devices, your laptop, your tablet and phones, and how you would load them into Synchro and then consume the information almost in a real time. Now, if you need to get basically access to the data, Synchro provide API and then connector to Power BI so you can enhance your reportings, right? You need to go to access to asset management. Synchro can fit into the asset wise, or you want to create more visualization like cinematic visualization rendering. We can connect to Lumen RT from Bentley to produce very cinematic way of visualization in your project, right? Now, what is the construction digitalization? So many people talk about construction digitalization. What do you really do with the digitalization for your project? So if I may say, when you look at this slide, there's 3 different buckets in there, right? You need to be able to do visual planning and analyze your constructability. Then you have to be able to collaborate and coordinate your work. At the end of the day, you need to be able to track and then analyze your performance, right? So within this, Synchro outputs can be, you can do 4D planning, which include the CPM scheduling, simulate, coordination, and then your daily plan, which is part of the daily plan, which is your AWP installation work packages, right? And then you can do 5D, where you can use Synchro to do quantity takeoff, managing your bids and contract, and then budgeting. And then when you move to the field, you need to track your work, you inspect your work, you document your safety, access to your drawings, issue RFIs, right? And then dashboard reporting, capturing the photos and different things at site. So you can also do that in Synchro, right? At the end of the day, you need to draw your S-curve. You basically manage your resources, manage your change order, potential change order and change order process. All of that, you can actually use Synchro for that. Now, if I put this digitalization context into a workflow, it's probably easier to read, right? So I split this into top half. The top half is basically very traditional planning method that everybody already doing it, right? You have your schedule in Primavera or Microsoft Project or Synchro, right? and then you basically track against your schedule. You start capturing progress, and you will do field management, could be in Excel base or in different method, basically capturing RFI and do all that stuff. And then you capture your progress, and then you do your S-curve. So that's very traditional workflow as you see. Now, what about if I put a layer of AWP process on top of this? So you're not changing your process essentially, right? But you actually adding more detail and governance to how you plan. So instead of randomly define how you plan your work, so maybe one company plan it very high level, the other company plan it way very detailed. AWP put a process together that you would do it by area, by discipline. That's what AWP calls CWP. So this is basically affecting this planning. And then you are basically now managing sub-project of your project, right? Now, before you go to the field, AWP methodology teaches that you should basically create, work phase planning. What is basically is a installation work package that you can deploy to the field, right? This is where the work phase planning is created. So basically, it's the result of this. Then, how do you issue this to the field? There's two-step process. First, how you would do look ahead of your plan, and to determine what you should do, and then you go through the constraint check or some process call it the soundness check, right? Basically, that filter what you should do into what you can do, right? Then after that, the remaining process follows through the normal cycle. So you would progress your work and then report any incident, any RFIs issue you find, progress, and then you track your performance. So here's the slide that show our solutions in Synchro. So we have 5 different categories. Number 1 is Synchro Field, and Synchro Control, Synchro Perform, Synchro Cost, and Synchro 4D. So I'm going to go through and explain one by one.
Yeah, but Iwan, probably I would just jump in for a while, looking at the graph that you present just now. I think it's a really a good a good solution that we can see that what we are trying to bring here is not about changing the culture of an entity or probably regenerate a new technology or workflow to basically to adopt a new system inside here. So what you're showing right now is basically it's something that we are doing daily right now. But I can see that Synchro basically it's complementing and enhancing the delivery of the data itself and reuse the data for a better communication platform. Especially with all these checklists. I think this is just perfect for our adoptions right now. I believe that is the reason why you say that it's easy to adopt Synchro because science technologies and we can play along with the current existing process within any organizations, I suppose that.
Thank you, Andy. All right, so what is Synchro? So what is Synchro Field? So Synchro Field is basically an application that you will install in your mobile app. Can be in the tablets or on the mobile phone. So this allows you to access your documents, your models in the field. You can document issue, inspect your work, your completion, your checklist, right? And then you can actually do and perform progressing using your model and then capture your everyday reports into these applications. Now, Synchro Field work in conjunction with the Synchro Control. So Synchro Control is basically the project management aspect of Synchro that basically giving you the access for the administration of the project, right? And then you can also use several different features here like media indexing that will manage your photos that you take, in your project throughout the project. You have a view of dashboard with map, location where you at in your project. You can also view your mixed reality compare, accept, receive documents, manage your documents and different things that you can do in Synchro Control. So moving on to Synchro 4D. Synchro 4D has two applications. So number one is Synchro 4D Pro, which is the scheduling 4D applications, and then Synchro Modeler, which is allow you to basically create your construction model. Okay, Synchro 4D. I think my internet. Hang on a second. All right, Synchro 4D is basically a desktop application that you will install on your PC, right? You will connect to the cloud. You would need to have a model, schedule, and resources to build a proper 4D. So as you see on the left side there, you can input your schedule data, and on the right side, you input your 3D model. You mix it together plus resources, and you get your 4D playback, right? And your 4D planning. Okay. Now, Synchro Modeler, as I described earlier, Synchro Modeler actually is an application where you can actually do quantity takeoff. So this is basically moving from 4D to 5D, right? You will be able to split the model into constructible elements when you require, into smaller constructible elements for your planning and estimating purposes. You can start marrying your 3D model against your CBS, your cost code structures, not only the WBS when you do it in the Synchro Pro earlier, right? Then for that, you can export this out into Excel. That's your quantity takeoff. You can also manage your man hours, right, and your costs as well. And this information can be used in your planning process later on. We also have a neat features that allow you to basically perform design change. So when you walk into a project, you would have to deal with the design change, right? Now, our software will automatically detect when you compare two revisions of your model. It will give you color-coded green, blue, and red. Green are the new model added that doesn't exist before. Blue are the models that has changed, right? So maybe a foundation get larger or smaller. And then red is the model that was deleted, basically. So you think about this, you can easily detect what model that affect your quantity base that will affect your schedules and your plan to go. Now, Synchro Perform is basically performance management solution within Synchro Platform to allow you to, basically not only just capture the progress, but also the earned value, daily costing production, event management, daily diaries, and photo management as well. Now, one of the neat features in Synchro Perform is a timesheet. If you have your own timesheet, if you can continue to use it. For example, if you want to look at Synchro Perform or you don't have timesheets, you can take a look at how you can build timesheets and then manage not only the human, also the equipment resources within Synchro Perform. Now we have a new addition to Synchro, which is a solution for bid and cost management solution, as shown here. This represents another expansion how workflow for bid and cost can be digitally transformed, right? In this example, you will see the digitation of bid request, and then management of potential vendors, communication and receipt of bid proposals, comparison of proposals, and finally the vendor selections. And aside from the bid, Synchro also have the cost module where allow you to basically propose creation of the proposed change order. You can invite subcontractors, right? And then manage your change order basically, and then issue the change order, and finally you can do the pay app within the application itself. So all of this at the moment is still in beta, and if you guys interested in, we can include you in the AAP program, which is early access program. And as soon as we finish this beta and early access program, then we can release this software for um, the general public. Now let's touch a bit about the training and onboarding, how you learn Synchro, and how we support you with your Synchro adoption. So we have a couple different avenues how you would learn Synchro. So all of those are free, basically. So you can go to our electronic Synchro Learn server, where you can join online and then you can learn Synchro using our learning system there. Or if you have LinkedIn Learning accounts, you can actually join, our LinkedIn courses, of Synchro, right? So we launched for Synchro 4D. This is mostly heavy lifting of the learning in Synchro. Control and field, and then modular will be hopefully in the second half of this year. We should be able to launch that, right? So if you want to test Synchro, you can also work with us and get the proof of concept going. So we offer 30 days of proof of concept to make sure everything is good for you before you actually commit it and adopt Synchro. Now from onboarding and then training, we have all of these communities, Synchro-social, tech support, all resources in one, and then we have DCW and local partner in Malaysia to do so. So with this, I would allow Doug to actually go through his slide to talk about how you use Synchro in your AWP.
Okay. Eric, I'm going to go ahead and share and hand it over to you for a couple of minutes.
All right. Well, teeing up Doug in terms of, I'll cover this quickly so you can see more of the details of what a demo of the of Synchro and the modules there. From an overall big picture perspective, AWP, some of you may have known me from some of the previous presentations and my trip over there. I greatly appreciate all our friends at Petronas in terms of allowing me to present on AWP and how this fits in from a data and integration perspective, right? From a big picture perspective, AWP is about that backwards planning effort. And we have a couple new acronyms in there, system work packages, right? So working backwards from what you want to start up first and working all the way backwards in terms of developing the path of construction early in the project, which is really where Synchro shines in terms of developing the path of construction, breaking those down into construction work packages, installation work packages, and then ultimately into systems and system work packages for turnover and testing. Go ahead to the next one, Doug. So at a high level, connecting the dots here in terms of having fit for purpose work packaging and constraint management, right? And the thing with AWP is really having dedicated planners to do the interactive planning sessions using a virtual construction model and keeping that up to date with the idea of working and catering to the field supervision, right? So being able to make their life easier and developing digital workflows that essentially cater to them to allow them to see, what's coming up next? Do I have all the materials and can I execute that work? So doing the planning and the constraint analysis. At a high level, if you're able to link together the BIM model, right, and combine that with the AWP technology and work processes along those lines, and try to work in a collaborative environment, that is the optimum in terms of getting to digital project delivery. And if you do this the right way, simultaneously, you can deliver a digital twin. Go ahead forward there, Doug. So at the end of the day, what you're trying to get to is a mission control that has a way for you to manage all that data where you can see it where it's the plan versus the actual versus the as is, right? And linking together all that data throughout the life cycle and looking at it from the data requirements and feeding that, and then the 4D, 5D model, the path of construction, breaking that into engineering work packages, and then into construction work packages, installation work packages, in the system, etc. And managing that whole process of creating the work packages as well as the constraints, and looking at it in relation to the procurement aspects of it, as well as what materials have arrived on site from an integrated materials management perspective. And then as things are being done out in the field, taking advantage of field-based progressing and inspections and tying that back into the commissioning and managing those interface handoffs, right? So at the end of the day, it's not just about the data, but getting the data and using your technology to help enforce your compliance towards the AWP process. And the more that you're able to get a virtual construction model and keep it up to date and keep the schedule and the models up to date, the greater visibility that you'll have, right? So people, process, and technology to drive to predictable outcomes and to get to a digital twin. Go ahead to the next one. The idea is to really to integrate and automate and to orchestrate things, and to do that, at some point you need a platform in which to do that. So the combination there of being able to take all those applications, integrate them together, and automate your workflows and orchestrate it from a change management and a short-range production planning perspective is really where you're trying to get to. What does success look like? Go ahead to the next one. Right, so being able to link together all your various project IT systems and keep them up to date, and do that week over week, so you have an updated 4D model that when everybody comes into the room, you know exactly what's been done and what's going to be done, right? Your look ahead plans going forward. Fit for purpose work packaging and constraint management, right? So we'll show examples of that in a demo of that. Go ahead to the next one. At the end of the day, this is what, having an evergreen virtual construction model that's kept up to date, and everybody knows you walk in the morning meeting, okay, you're going to go walk down these 3 different areas. You're going to, start up these particular work areas, and everybody has a better picture in terms of exactly where the project's at by keeping it up to date within the schedule and within the model. And that virtual construction model reflecting exactly who's doing what, when, where, right? So if you do this right, you can drastically improve collaboration on your projects and productivity, and drive that in terms of onto your projects to the point where you can know exactly where you're going to be, not only the next day, the next week, but the next 3 week. A 3-month look ahead, right? So keeping that rolling look ahead going. Go ahead to the next one.
Yeah, correct. I'll probably jump in for a while, Eric. I see that a slide set there. So try to imagine that in our project sessions where we have, what do you call that, a challenge sessions between the main contractor and the clients, right? I think that pictures basically just tell the whole execution plans in the crystal clear idea that how we're going to execute our works right now. I think that challenge session can be very beneficial in the execution plan inside there.
So interactive planning is key part of it, right? But if you get this right, basically you can use this process as a way to get the feedback from the field to make better decisions by keeping an evergreen virtual construction model, right? So the idea is to collect the field-based progress out there in near real time and update that, bring that back to the model, plan versus actual versus as is. If you get this right, you can create a construction digital twin that can feed a performance digital twin and really support the reliability and a continuous agile handover process. So I won't spend a whole lot of time on digital twins. Let's let Doug go through and give some more of the specifics on the demonstration side of it.
Okay, thanks, Eric. All righty. So what I'm going to talk about today is more so the AWP process with Synchro. So currently I'm leading an implementation on a $10 billion LNG facility over here in the US, specifically with Synchro. And so I'll be relating some of the different things I share today to some of the projects that are going on over here. So the typical work process for AWP is developing and reviewing the path of construction, building your CWP or construction work package and engineering work package boundaries, creating installation work packages, clearing constraints, approving the IWP through some sort of IWP release plan, executing the IWP through job cards, and once it's in the field, of course, collecting progress until you're able to close out that IWP. So let's begin with the path of construction. So the primary deliverables from a path of construction are the identification of major construction constraints such as weather, equipment access, resource availability, and the sequencing of construction work areas that may be used to make a level 2 schedule. Now, it's very important to understand that developing and reviewing your path of construction can occur very early on in a project, right? So if we have only at this point a 2D sketch or 2D plot plan of the overall project site, you can still visualize your path of construction through extruded shapes and 3D objects prior to getting into detailed design and engineering. Along with that, if you have very detailed data, very detailed model, you can develop a very in-depth path of construction. One example of that, the project I'm currently working on, is multiple trains, and construction only had the first train, the engineering model of the first train, and we were doing some path of construction analysis in Synchro, and because of the data that they put into their engineering model, we were able to copy that train model over to the other trains and do some scripting and calculated user fields to link up the trains of which they didn't have models for to their schedule and really visualize the overall sequence of construction. And that would have been impossible to do in that level of detail without having good data. So it's the better the data, the better. But if it's not there, we can still move forward with it. And so I'm sure everybody's seen path of construction before. What we're doing is we're trying to optimize the sequence of work, for the overall project at the CWA level, if possible, the CWP level, to see where we're at. And when we're developing our path of construction, we may not always have it, developed in the most efficient way. So with Synchro 4D, you're able to do what we like to call optioneering, where you can have multiple iterations of the path of construction and look at them side by side with the same schedule to see which path of construction is the most efficient, most productive for the project. And you can do this, many iterations over and over until you get that optimized path of construction, that optimized sequence of work for them to enable the most productive execution in the field. So the next step of the AWP workflow are setting your engineering work package boundaries and your construction work package boundaries. Now, with Synchro and Synchro Control, to be exact, we're able to build EWPs or engineering work packages where we can upload all of our safety documentation, vendor documentation, engineering drawings, construction documents, all into a project repository that's built into the web application. And as we continue, I'll show you how this relates to the short-range production planning and IWP creation. So that is creating EWPs within Synchro. The next step is building your construction work packages. So what, a CWA or construction work area to a CWP breakdown. So if we look here, CWAs, they're multidisciplinary, general geolocated area, whereas CWP is a smaller breakdown, more discipline specific. So every CWP are discipline specific. And CWPs are really the backbone of the construction projects. They're the foundation from which all construction activities are executed. They facilitate early construction planning and logistics decision making. And these CWPs will be used to build out the IWPs, or the weekly work fronts, within the AWP process. So once we have our CWPs and EWPs created in Synchro Control and Synchro 4D, we can then build and extract our IWPs and link them with the checklist items in Synchro 4D and Control. So, we talked about the CWA to CWP breakdown. The CWP to IWP, or installation work package breakdown, is just building out that discipline-specific weekly work front for the construction crew. So breaking it down from project to sub-project to even further sub-project. Now, how we build packages in Synchro Pro, I'm going to go ahead and share this video. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and share this video. So there's a couple different ways of where you're seeing, right? Okay, here we go. So you can simply focus on your CWP and individually select components, build what's called resource groups within Synchro to quickly navigate and show your different work packages, and you can add them, tag them to your P6 schedule, your Microsoft project schedule, your Synchro schedule, whichever schedule that you're using on the project. You can also use a mixture of various schedules. And then you can, as you're building out these work packages with the individual components, you can sequence them out, which we'll cover here in a couple slides for IWP sequencing. But it's important that the planners at this point in time are creating proper groupings of components that make sense for the field, and make sense in regards to the install itself. So at this point, we're not looking at any constraints. We're simply building packages. We'll go through constraint management here in the next couple slides. But that's how you actually build the work packages in 4D.
Doug, may I interject real quick?
Yep.
Yeah. So the benefit in using Synchro 4D to do this, Synchro 4D has a CPM engine in the background, right? So you don't have to leave the application when you actually create logic connection between IWP 1 to 2. So you can do it all here, and then in the background, you can actually sync this back into your P6 through the API. So everything is going to be very orchestrated, right? So these are really the benefits. So many different applications you have to leave to even put logic, maybe not allowed, right? You have to go back to P6, come back again and rebuild your package. That's way time consuming. So this all-in-one tool that you can actually build packages from in Synchro. Back to you, Doug.
Yep, thanks. So as we're building out our packages, we need to do quantity takeoffs, right? For each individual package, we need to know what material we need for that specific work packages in turn, before we can in turn clear the constraints, the material readiness for those. So with Synchro Modeler, which like Ewan said, comes with 4D, what we're able to do is we're able to configure project or portfolio specific cost codes, which can be used on multiple projects once you build the first configuration. These are some example of some duct bank cost codes that were built in Synchro Modeler. We can upload those configurations to Synchro Control, and then within Synchro Modeler, we're able to assign cost codes to 3D objects within Synchro Modeler. We're also able to split those. Engineering models don't always come constructible, right? I'm sure everyone's seen it. Let's say duct bank, for example. You could have a long stretch of duct bank. It's not going to, all the conduit don't come in 100-foot sections, right? It's going to come in smaller sections. So we're able to split those non-constructible components into constructible 3D objects or a construction model. And then we can spit out a Excel summary of all of our quantities. One thing to note is that you can either do this by selecting objects one by one, but of course that takes a long time. So what we're able to do, we're also able to assign cost codes based on querying various attributes. So again, refers back to what I stated earlier with path to construction. The better the data we have, the smoother the AWP workflow goes. So as we're packaging this work, we can quickly status the 4D model to get a visual sense of what's packaged and what's not packaged at this point in time, right? So you can quickly see, okay, area CWA 1 is 50% packaged and ready for the field, whereas CWA 2 is 20%. So you can quickly get an idea of where we stand from a short range production planning perspective by color coding the model. Along with that, similarly, we can color code the 4D model for subcontractor coordination. So if there's various subcontractors doing, performing various pieces of work, electrical subcontractor 1 and electrical subcontractor 2 versus mechanical subcontractor. As we're building these packages and we're adding that subcontractor to that work package, we can status the model and color code it based on which subcontractors are working on which work, which from an interactive planning perspective, if there's an issue or there's something that needs to be addressed, you can quickly identify who's actually executing that work in the field or who plans to. So that's building work packages and within Synchro 4D and Synchro Modeler for quantity takeoff automation. So the next step obviously would be, we're building these work packages. We got to make sure that we can clear all constraints before we can issue the work to the field. Now within Synchro Pro, there's a good way of doing this. What you're seeing up here, these are user fields associated with individual tasks or individual installation work packages. And we have material constraints, crew constraints, equipment constraints, and you can see we have a number 1 going across in all of these user fields. So what we're going to be doing is we are doing a calculated user field to show whether or not a package is constraint-free or not. So sound activities are marked as 1. That means they're constraint-free. Unsound activities would be marked as 0 individually, right? So if we had a material constraint that wasn't cleared, it would be 0 here. And so we do them individually. And then using a calculated user field, which I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to, we can do a soundness report, which will report whether or not that each individual work package is constraint free or not. And so this is just the script that's used for that. But essentially, you just you select all of the work packages you want to do a soundness report for to see if constraints are cleared, and you just hit recalculate user field, and it'll give you an automated calculation of whether they're constraint free or not. And based on that user field, that calculated user field, we can apply conditional formatting to the schedule to show work packages that are constraint free or still have constraints, and we can apply that conditional formatting that is used on the schedule, and we can reflect it in the 4D model. So you can quickly see which work is constraint free and which not. Now that's, this is a fit for purpose, short range production plan and constraint management. Now there's going to be times where a project where we need more details than just, okay, we have drawing constraints, or okay, we have material constraints. There's going to be critical constraints that occur where, hey, Ewan, I need you to quickly go resolve this issue, right? So what I can do in Synchro Control is I can create a constraint form, assign it to Ewan. He would then get a email saying, hey, Ewan, we need you to look at this constraint for this material and this work package, and it's due next Tuesday, right? So we can assign our constraints, our critical constraints, and track them at a detailed level, all linking them to a work package. So we have that entire audit trail of that constraint management. And just so you know, you can build your own custom constraint forms and other forms within Synchro Control, which can also be filled out on the iPads in Synchro Field. And in turn, once we have our constraints cleared, like Ewan mentioned before, we can build that IWP schedule logic in Synchro very quickly and push that back to P6 if we're using P6 as our master scheduling software. Again, we don't need it. You can use Synchro alone for your scheduling. It's built off of the same methodology. But from there we can really get a picture of our short-range production plan. The 3-week look ahead, what work's being occurred, and dealing with different crews. I know we're getting close on time, so I'm going to go ahead quickly through this slide. So as we're building out our packages, sequencing the work, doing our look aheads, we're able to do on top of just from a planning perspective, we're able to do 3-month look ahead safety planning using Synchro, where we can see, okay, this work's being executed, what safety hazards are in there, and what do we need to mitigate. We can bring in reality capture to Synchro. This is a good example of that. And then really down here on the right, this is probably one of my favorites, and this is something that I do see on projects all the time, is within the lunch tents, they have on a loop the 3-week look ahead being replayed on the TVs, so craft can watch TV while they're eating lunch and see the work that they're going to be executing over the next 3 weeks. Now, once we've packaged up everything, we have to send it out to the field, and within Synchro, you can have a customized IWP release plan or workflow, so you can build at a portfolio level, a project level, how you want the work package to go out into the field. And so that's completely customizable. And in the end, when we're sending them out to the field, we end up with a work package similar to this, with a title sheet, your different constraints that are cleared, the dates they were cleared, your automated quantity takeoffs, model shots, all of that. So this is just an example of a digital work package. So once they actually go out into the field, that's the planning perspective. Now it's the biggest part, the construction perspective. And so using Synchro Control and Synchro Field in particular, we're able to get all of our project documentation on an iPad, right? So through the mobile app. And so just like in Synchro Control, we were linking our construction documents to engineering work packages. We can also, through Synchro Field, let me go ahead, you're also able to navigate to that repository structure, open your various construction documents, whether it be the work package or safety forms, anything you really need. And on top of that, you're also able to mark up your PDFs, sign your PDFs. You can do all that. So there's various options to annotate, to mark up, sign, date, all of that, through Synchro Field on the iPad. That's for accessing documents. Of course, it's construction. Issues occur, RFIs occur, and Synchro Field makes that super easy. There's just basic forms that you can quickly, whether you're connected to Wi-Fi or not, you can quickly create your different forms. There's different forms within Synchro Field by default, and you can customize them, where you can put in the different descriptions of your different issues, RFIs, or incidents. You can tag pictures from your iPad. You can tag the location to the GPS, as well as the 4D model, which can then be reviewed and closed out later on in the office. From a progressing perspective, there's 2 ways to progress in Synchro. There's Synchro Perform and Synchro Field. And really the difference between the two is, Synchro Field is model-based progressing, where the users, navigate to their 4D model through Synchro Field, and they go through their different tasks, and at the click of a button they can select components and update the work steps that are currently completed. Whereas in Synchro Perform, it's quantity based, right? So this is where, for tracking earned value and all that, you can go in on a daily basis and say, okay, I'm at 20% complete, and then tomorrow I'm at 25% complete, and you can do that day by day on the iPad in Synchro Perform to get to that point where you're calculating your earned value and your PFs and all that. And it's both are very easy to use and efficient. And then so as we're going through work execution, there's always events that occur. So what I like to talk about on this specifically, being in Texas, we have hurricanes here all the time in the summer, and so there's thunderstorms, lightning. When work is affected in the field due to weather or anything, within Synchro, you can create events and charge it to a specific cost code. Saying, hey, we were not able to perform work during for these hours on this day because of a lightning delay. And you can add in, a description for that, pictures, all that. You can also, you could also do that if you were working in a muddy area and you couldn't access or environmental issues. So there's different ways that you can create events and then choose your pictures from your iPad or take pictures directly through Synchro Platform in order to upload that to the overall project site. Lastly, inspections, custom inspections can be created via Synchro field forms, where your QA, QC and inspectors can go out to the field on their iPads and go through their checklist, update, tag stuff to the model, tag stuff to the map, and upload pictures. And then, of course, as we're collecting all this progress and we're studying what we're doing in the field, analytics are available to show your various KPIs, your commodity curves. You can see your PFs, you can see your earned value, and drill down into detail. And then, of course, bringing all that back to Synchro 4D to do your plan versus actual scenarios, and then in turn, what that allows is you're able to then color code your models based on those KPIs and really get a clear indication of where we stand, how we're doing on certain disciplines, and so it's all about the data, it's all about the workflows, and Synchro allows for that process to occur, through your computer and iPad. Everything's linked, and I'm telling you, it's seamless. It's a very strong software, and I've really enjoyed working on implementations with it. With that, I'm going to pass it to you, Eric, for the wrap up.
Yep. Doug's shown you a good overview of how AWP can be applied using Synchro, right? And big picture wise, programmatic AWP is a journey. You gotta pick your integration platform and build your team and get on with it, right? So it's a journey. It's not a single project. It'll happen over multiple projects. But what we do know is that the more collaboration, the more integration, the greater we can drive predictability on projects, right? So it takes a disciplined, agile, and continuous improvement type of process. And both Bentley, DCW, and PCSS are here to help you guys in terms of integrate and automate and orchestrate your processes and your workflows here. And with that, we should open it up to questions.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Doug, Pak Iwan, Andy. All right, so you can connect with them, the gentlemen from the QR code and the contact number, and we will also share the presentation pack through email afterwards. So don't worry about that. I think I can see some interesting question in the chat box, and conscious of time, we have 6 minutes left actually, up to 4:30. Maybe we are going to overspill a little bit, but not too much. So let's go to the first question from Mr. Adam Kamarulail from Sapura. I think Doug can handle this. How Synchro able to advise workplace planner on material readiness prior to IWP issuance? I believe this is related to constraint management. That you are on mute.
You're on mute, bud.
Oh, sorry about that. So there's a couple ways to do that. So if you're using, in-house or third-party material management systems for track and trace type like JOVIX or anything along those lines, you can bring that data in a manual sense, or you can integrate it into Synchro where that data flows as far as your material status, what's on site, what's not on site, all that into Synchro, and you can use those various statuses for your constraint management. Same thing if you're just doing that simply with Excel. Once you have your work packages built, your material management data can be brought into Synchro to help with the soundness reports and the constraint management.
All right, thank you, Doug. Hopefully that answers the question from Mr. Adam. And next question from Mr. Yuni Kannan from Kuala Lumpur. How successful are we in using AWP Synchro digitalization in brownfield works carried out for marginal fields in offshore projects? Maybe Iwan can take this.
Yeah. So, if you have no model, you can still work with Synchro. What we do not really show during the presentation is how we work with the 2D, right? There's tools for you working with PDF. And also, if you have and like to have reality model of your brownfield project, you can actually bring it into Synchro. We Bentley have different tools to make your reality model intelligent as well. So you can have, different ways how you would like to do based on what is your, outcome that you try to get. I guess we can explore some more with this limited time, so it's very difficult to show everything.
Yeah, Mr. Nanta also asked about any samples of utilization of Synchro 4D on horizontal construction types, infrastructure, roads, bridges, etc. Maybe Iwan can also continue on that.
Yes, we have plenty. And if you're talking about horizontals here, right? So Synchro is one of the strength and the only one I think in the market that do horizontal. We have civil tool embedded into Synchro control that you can actually take it online, right? So, there are many examples in YouTube that we have here. So Google Synchro construction in YouTube, and you will see plenty, materials, plenty videos talking about horizontal and building verticals in other than industrial. Back to you, Al.
Right, thank you, Iwan. And the next question from Mr. Nanta. Can a project planner plan, schedule, and control a project in Synchro Pro directly as the primary authoring source for the project without the need for P6, Microsoft Projects, or Power Project? Maybe Andy can answer this.
Yeah, I think you actually can do that because Synchro itself, it is a planning tool by itself. You got a CPM engine within Synchro itself, and the flexibility of like integration with other software that we have in the market, right? What we usually do to a certain company when they do not have a planner, they only have a 3D models, right? We actually perform a BIM-based planning where we plan according to the model sequence and we push it back to Primavera for their submissions to their clients. So yes, you can basically just run the planning itself in Synchro platform.
All right, thank you, Andy. You can always explore more. Just connect with Andy or any of the gentlemen to check out how you can do that, right? And maybe the next question to Mr. Eric: how do you changing your area or construction base? How do you change your area or construction base? I believe this is regarding to planning or project execution to system or commissioning driven planning.
Yeah, define your systems, right? Define your systems by pulling in all the detail related information where you have your systems and your subsystems defined within the model. And that way you can, when you get to that 60-70%, you can make that transition from install by area to systems turnover and have greater clarity exactly where you're at from a systems completions perspective to make that turnover and to interface in with the systems work packaging and the commissioning effort. Does that make sense? You can put that directly into the model and you can visualize that, right? You can have your model broken down so it has that capability to be seen both on a systems basis as well as an area basis, and what's been done, what hasn't been done. And if there's a specific install area that hasn't been completed, you can create a specific package to address that, get that knocked out so you can get it turned over.
Thank you, Eric. I think it is the latest development with you mentioned about system work packages, right? SWP by
Yeah.
CII. Before this, it is up to only installation work packages, and now it is. I think even CII also acknowledge the important for us to integrate up to a system and completion, right? Commissioning
Yes.
system and completion.
That's exactly. We have to connect the dots with the commissioning, the completions commissioning. We have to bring that forward in the life cycle of the project and the planning process. Huge amounts of productivity will be gained by doing that.
All right, thank you, Eric. And another question, by the way, the question just now asked by Engineer Akbal Abu from Petronas, and another question from Petronas personnel as well, Mr. Helmi, maybe to Iwan. Minimum spec for tablet or phone to install and use Synchro.
We always recommend the latest, but I'm running a very cheap iPhone SE and I can still do the model.
Come on, Iwan, still SE.
Yes. Well, you know,
Alright.
it's not required a huge specs because the language that we use when we do programming over the mobile device is the latest one. So we built for those. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
It's light. It's nice.
Very light.
All right. I can see also a question appear from Mr. Kanan. Can Synchro also provide material management for brownfield project execution? Iwan.
The answer is very simple, flat no. We're not moving in that space yet for the material management system. So the answer is no.
All right. Okay, clear.
Yeah.
And the question, does Petronas share the real-time status update with other stakeholders? For example, government authorities? I'm not quite sure the question to Petronas. I also don't know how to answer. The real-time status, I don't think so for now. We have periodic update, but I don't know, maybe in future we are going to have that. Gentlemen, any possible help have this slide? Yes, we will be providing the slide to all participants. All right, maybe Puan Sharifah, do you have? We give you a special privilege to ask if you have any question. Oh, you are on mute. Oh, still cannot hear you. I'm not quite sure.
Kejap. Okay, can you hear me?
All right. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
can.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was a lot of information going through that half an hour that Doug was trying to actually go through. So I was like going bombarded with all this info. I think some of our members have asked quite pertinent question like Adam and a few others. I think myself, I have to digest it a bit. And I think Bentley is as Bentley as I remember it. You are very versatile. The software is very versatile. You can, with the software that you have, you can actually integrate with a lot more. And the thing is, you actually have to work in what you want to do, and you have to know what the outcome is before that solution can be presented to you. I think that's the Bentley I remember also from my past experience. So I think that's what's demonstrated here. You are very versatile software, and it looks as though you've already gone quite far ahead and able to produce the construction of the future type of project management software. But it's still a lot of information that probably I need to digest. I think, well done. It's very interesting. I was very excited, and I'm not disappointed with the presentations and the speakers. I think I think that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, most welcome.
Thank you.
I think there is a paid off for Eric for staying up until 3 a.m. in the morning. And Doug, All right. So thank you, gentlemen. I think yes, it is a lot of information, a lot of things to digest. Even in dry run yesterday, I talked to Pak Iwan 70 slides. I think it's quite a lot to be covered in within 1.5 hour. But you can always connect with the with Bentley, with DCW or PCSS, whoever you are comfortable to, no, wherever you deem suitable, and explore more. I think one of the thing that Iwan mentioned just now, the what you call the trial version, Iwan, the 30
Yes.
1
days.
month. 1 month.
Yeah.
POC, proof of
Proof
concept.
of
Yeah.
Proof of
concept.
concept, yeah, that is interesting. I think a lot of people should take advantage of that, try it out, and you can explore on how to digitally transform your project execution
Right.
together with AWP implementation. All right, we are going towards closing. Please, we appreciate your feedback. You can scan the barcode there, or maybe we can also provide the link in the chat. Somebody from secretariat to for the participants to join. We had more than 170 people joining us at maximum. I think, as I aware today, very encouraging participation. We hope that you have gained a lot, so much insights for us to work to move towards the future, and let's move forward together. This is the all new Synchro platform, how to go digital with AWP. I hope we have shown you how, and you can explore further through Bentley, our partners and solution providers in advanced work packaging. All right. So thank you, everybody. It's 4:37 p.m. in Malaysia time. A little bit sorry for 7 minutes extended time for the session. Thank you, gentlemen. Our fellow panelists. Thank you, MOGSC, for collaboration and setting for hosting the platform. We are here together today, and see you for next week, inshallah. We will be having another session with another solution provider. So stay tuned. All right. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye. Al, you forgot to take picture.
Oh, oh, come on. No, yeah.
Okay,
Eric
suruh orang
already,
stay.
Yeah,
Suruh orang
Eric
100 something.
already
stay.
leave
Yeah,
me.
100 something.
Ada kan.
Tak apa lah.
Raimi dah ambil ah.
For the all the rest of the
Belum.
people.
Yeah, we still got like 100 plus of people.
Yeah,
in
why
this
don't we
session.
just ask whoever that's here to
Yeah.
actually switch
Turn
on
on
their
their
videos.
webcam.
Let's open
Yeah.
camera, open camera.
Okay,
Hey,
maybe we can take
somebody just raise their hand lah.
some so. Maybe we can actually take the slide off so that we can have everybody at the center, so that before people leave lagi boleh ambil gambar lagi.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good crowd today that we have.
Yeah,
numbers,
as Al said, nearly 170 at the peak. At 4:30, I was looking, and we still have 159. So that's commitment. Okay, Raimi, are you okay?
All right, ready everyone?
Ready.
Anyone else? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Another one?
Ada one. Freestyle.
Good sign. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. Have a good
All right.
day.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Very interesting, Al, because you see that when they turn on the video, there are people that I pun tak biasa tengok tau. There are a lot of people that actually come on to actually specifically watch for this topic. So it's very good. Very good
Yes,
exposure.
Yeah,
It is.
we want
It is. Yeah.
we want to reach to non-traditional participants. We want
Which you
to
have actually. Which you have.
yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. That is actually the thing that we look from our collaboration with MOGSC, because the network is broad. Right?
Right there.
That is the opportunity that we have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Well done, Al. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Andy.
Christopher.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Al. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See
Thank you, Andy. Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.